on YouTube. Please, if you have any comments, you can send us a message on Facebook.
Ramachandra Prabhu, you're the chairman of the board.
Joy.
And
Okay.
we have Mohit on, do we?
We have Mohit on, we have Rupa Manjari Prabhu, and we have Mahaprabhu and our online viewers. So if they have any questions, comments, realizations they'd like to share, they're welcome to do that. Just post a message and we'll read it live. I'll be checking the messages back and forth. And one thing we'd like to recommend, if you'd like to be part of the live discussions we have going on every Wednesdays and Thursdays and Sundays, please join our group. The link is in the description, and then you can participate live and you'll get notifications whenever we go live. And you can interact with us personally by giving us a call, sending us a message. So let's go, Narayan Prabhu. We were discussing about Srila Prabhupada, and how would you say the discussion has been going on about his god brothers?
Yes,
and
we're looking to try to find a way to get people who are in ISKCON to realize that the GBC, I keep saying criminal GBC, and I keep on saying murderous GBC, just to distinguish them from what Prabhupada created, which was a GBC to be elected for 3-year terms. Now, it's very hard for people who have been in ISKCON or even originated in ISKCON, came in after 1970, to even imagine what that would be like.
Yeah.
But if you have the temples independently incorporated, I keep saying that, I don't know if people really get the significance. If the temple is individually incorporated, then no one can take it over.
Yeah.
If you have the GB, supposing the temple is individually incorporated and these guys starts doing real nonsense or stuff like that, eating meat, whatever is nonsense, the GBC would have to have the power to shut him down and take away his incorporation. But otherwise, the GBC cannot interfere with the autonomy of an individual temple. Now we see that the temples are all incorporated globally in Mayapur. How many ever temples there are, 1,000 or whatever temples there are all incorporated as ISKCON Incorporated. That means if you sue one, you're suing them all, which is, we have suffered already from the Gurukula lawsuit and from Robin George case and all these sort of cases that came up. The GBC just left the ISKCON wide open to being sued. And the other thing that happened is that they molested the children, while the Catholic Church is still struggling with the fact that they have, I just read today that there's some places where they're trying to hide the fact that the priests were molesting children. And why not? It's very expensive when that news gets out. The Catholic Church has lost hundreds of millions of dollars because of molested kids. Why were they molested? Because the church protected the priests, the clergy. And it should be remembered that when a person comes in as a humble priest at the beginning, and then rises up, he becomes a Monsignor, he becomes a bishop, an abbot, whatever he becomes, then finally a cardinal. He started out with molesting children too. So how are they going to stop the priesthood, stop the parishes from molesting children if they all came from parishes that were molesting children? So this is what is happening. But I want to get to a better point.
Well, I'd like to stop you right there and make some comments now. So
yes, please.
So you mentioned how the temples, Srila Prabhupada wanted all the temples to be independent and incorporated under ISKCON, following his directions as he set it up in 1970 and previous to that.
No, 1966.
1966, yeah, sorry, 1966.
Yeah, that's when the temples became he says right there in the charter that the temples are all supposed to be individually incorporated.
Yes. So one example would be here in Sacramento. I would establish an ISKCON temple, and then we would follow Srila Prabhupada's exact instructions as in 1966. And because I would have established this temple, and I would be the temple president, and basically, as long as I am functioning under the guidance of Srila Prabhupada's instructions, everything is going to be running smoothly, meaning that if there is some problems, the GBC would see the problems, and then they would come in and they will inform the temple president, hey, what's going on here, right? This is not Prabhupada's.
It goes even more subtle than that. If you're having problems, you phone up the GBC, say, help, I need some help.
Yeah.
You don't have to wait for the GBC, because the GBC does not have that executive power over what you're doing.
Okay, so
you have executive power. Therefore, you call the GBC and say, Prabhu,
yeah, I need some help.
We're having some problems with deity worship. We're having some difficulty figuring what the devotees are supposed to wear.
Right.
We're having some trouble knowing when to do the Sunday feast. Could you please send somebody or come yourself and help us sort that out?
Excellent. Okay.
That's what the GBC is meant to be. A lending library, not a totalitarian thing.
Yeah, so here presently at ISKCON of Sacramento, whenever we try to do something big, it has to go up the chain, meaning that they have to have a meeting, this, that. They cannot function individually and act as an individual for the benefit of the whole world. They have to, fly in the GBC, have a conversation with them, and it's just a total bureaucratic setup. Nightmare.
Yeah.
It's a nightmare, exactly. So I'm just giving you the hands-on experience here in Sacramento. Which,
well, that's very, very important. But now I wonder what would happen if you went with the original GBC charter and then incorporated yourself in the state of California as not the GBC charter, the temple, the ISKCON charter, the ISKCON Inc. If you went with that document and filed for
tax exemption status?
Well, yeah, say that you want to file as an ISKCON temple individually, the way it says here.
Yeah.
And we follow all the regulative principles and stuff like that. Now, of course, the GBC is going to, not even the GBC, probably Vaisheshika or people like that, they're going to come charging in and say you can't do that.
Actually, we can't. We tried that because we were functioning as a subsidiary group of, Prabhupada's movement. When we tried to register under the ISKCON banner, they said, oh, you guys already have an ISKCON institution set up. We're not going to allow you to have another ISKCON.
Who, the government said that?
No, Vaisheshika and their
management. Never mind Vaisheshika. What would the government say?
Oh, what would the government say? That's a good question. I'm not sure.
The ISKCON charter says that you can incorporate. Maybe they would have to say, well, this is a New York corporation. You'll have to register it in New York. Well, all the better. Why not register it in New York?
Yeah.
I'm sure this is well-trod path. I'm sure that I'm not bringing up something new, but I just don't know offhand what the answer is.
Yeah, okay. So we can figure that out. So now, Prabhu, you wanted to make some more points. So I've made my point clear about
very good.
Here in Sacramento and how things are going. So let's continue the discussion to the next subtopic.
Okay, so what is happening now is because the GBC took over and really pretty much turned ISKCON into a theocracy. It turned it into a church, into a mundane church, not a transcendental movement. What happened is that people become very complacent within the structure of ISKCON. And you have people, even guys that are good guys, 10,000 times good guys.
Yeah.
They still are sitting back comfortably saying, well, Krishna's taking care of me.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I would not If
Yeah.
I said that, I would cut my throat first, you know?
Yeah, actually, I went to the book distribution meeting on Earth Day here in Sacramento, California, and I said, "When's Prabhupada's temple going to come?" They said, "Oh, when God wills." I'm like, "God wills? You know, why are you putting it on
Why
God?"
not? Why not when we will?
Yes, so I told him that. So, he
And
kind of
they
got
said,
taken back. Then I started to tell him about, how everything is a mess. That's why we can't really do anything about the GBC and the whole thing. He agreed with me, and he didn't have anything else to say. He said, "I agree with you, Prabhu. I cannot say anything."
yeah. So he said, so now you've made it clear that God will not will until the GBC wills, because God is the servant of the GBC.
Yeah. So, yes.
When the GBC says, then Krishna will have permission to act from the GBC.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
mean, that's what it really practically boils down to. But then here we come up to the next step. Here we are stuck here. So I think there's very hard to go forward with the people that are comfortable in their, even if they're so-called Ritviks. They say, I have a $2 million mansion. I'm taking care of people. Krishna's taking care of me. That's all I need to know. That's all I need to do. Well, I did write to that person, who remains unnamed, of course. I wrote to that person and said, well, wait a minute. What about 50 years from now? What about 100 years? What about 150, 250? But let's just say, what about 250 years from now or 500 years from now? Where will that comfortable thing be with Krishna's taking care of you? You've got your $2 million mansion. What will you be doing in 150 years?
Yeah. Right.
Assuming that you live that long.
Yes. Yes. So this is a long
Assuming that you
term.
don't live that long. So the long term, that's short term.
No, I mean, if you really look at it, I'm gonna bring an example here: the U.S. Constitution and the Declaration of Independence. It's about 200 something years. Our Krishna consciousness movement, being a spiritual movement, started by a pure devotee. Why aren't we looking for the betterment for the future? Why are we splitting hairs?
Because it doesn't affect my sense gratification. I mean, when a person says Krishna's taking care of me, I have a $2 million mansion, if I were talking with him in person, I would say, you have a $2 million mansion that Krishna gave you, correct? Said, yes, of course, you can see it. I have it. My name is on the title. That proves that Krishna gave it to me.
Right.
I said, are you sure it's not your karma from a previous life?
Yeah.
Did you check your chart and find that you had such terrible karma that you'd be a homeless beggar now? But because Krishna has taken care of you, he's given you a $2 million mansion, something like Sudama Brahman.
Yeah.
I mean, is that the case? Or did you just have good karma? And I would say, I could argue he has very good karma. If he went out, it would have rock concerts with 2,000 people and stuff like that.
Right.
Well, that seems like you have good karma for music and making money. So how does that figure that it's Krishna taking care of you? Are you sure it's not you taking care of you?
Yeah, your previous karma coming into play in this life, thinking that, oh, God is my order supplier in this life. He's supplying me everything.
Exactly. Well, yes, exactly.
So this mentality a lot of people have. I mean, I had it. I was thinking that,
everyone has it.
Yeah, I had it. So now with some introspection and thinking, I'm making Krishna as my order supplier, which is totally against what our principles and our belief is. Our spiritual understanding is that we're the servants of God. We don't want anything from God, and we want to serve.
Unless we become completely surrendered to Krishna, meaning Madhyam or Uttamanakare, anything we have is a result of karma.
Yes.
Our previous life's karma.
Yeah.
So if I wear that off, then what? Are you going to wait till you're a beggar in the street of Calcutta before you realize that you need to surrender to Krishna rather than to your bank account?
Yes. So let's bring it down home here. We were discussing
Okay.
about people
so-
using Krishna as a medium to say that, oh, if Krishna wills, my situation would be better. Or if Krishna wants, the GBC would just disintegrate, the circle. So why are people thinking like this? They're thinking that Krishna will do everything.
Because they became dependent on the GBC. They said, if the GBC, if Krishna wills, the GBC will give up and go away and we can have Prabhupada again. But wait a minute, what if the GBC doesn't give up and go away?
What are you going to
What
do
if they
now?
stay until
Yeah.
the last dog is hung? Supposing they stay until they picked every pocket that has money in it.
Yeah.
What about that? So I'm coming to a conclusion here, which is a new idea in a sense. And I'd like to, may I present that thought?
Sure. Go ahead.
Okay, the thought is this. We cannot make progress with these stuck in the mud people.
Yes.
I mean, look how many things we've written. You've written, I've written, we've all written. How many things we've written to show that we need to make provisions for the future. And people simply can't see it. Why? Why do I need the future when I'm being taken care of right now? I suppose what they're thinking is, if they have this nice $2 million mansion, if I'm being taken care of now and I keep chanting my rounds and I keep on offering prasadam, I'll be taken care of in my next life too. Well, this is all very interesting because it seems to be based on you. And I say you, not you, Chandra, but to that person. It seems to be based upon the individual who thinks that Krishna is taking care of him. Krishna is taking care of every living entity. So I think that the only way we can crack this code, and this is what I started out to say and led up to, just led up to being able to say. And that is, we need to not talk about anything that isn't 500 years from now. Of course we will. I mean, is there prasadam at the temple? Yes. You want to go get some prasadam? Sure. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about theology. How can we talk theology with people that refuse to answer any question about their next birth or 500 years of birth? Where's your vision? Where's your mission? Where's the mission to serve Krishna? Yeah, go ahead. Was that Mogi?
No, that's Vinayak. Yes, Vinayak.
That's Vinayak from Japan. Haribol.
Hare Krishna.
Hi.
Hare So,
Bolo.
Prabhu,
Hi,
Mr.
Haribol.
Prabhupada.
Hare
Vinayak
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhu Ji ki jai. Srila Prabhupada
Haribol.
ki jai.
Jai.
Haribol.
Bol.
I have one thing to discuss. Like there is a concept right now going on within the leadership that some of them are saying that Prabhupada may not be a pure devotee.
What?
So yes,
Oh my God, who's saying this? They need to be shot
Who's saying
immediately.
Bhanu Maharaj.
Prabhupada is not a pure
Bhanu
devotee.
Maharaj is saying this.
Who
Yeah,
said
Yeah,
that?
but privately.
Oh,
Biggest idiot of the world. Biggest
So
idiot
like
of the world.
I want to know some like if you know like if somebody
Wait a
knows any
second. I'd
Shastric
like to know
evidence or
who
kind of
is saying
something.
this? Someone named Brahma Maharaj?
no. He said Bhanu Swami.
Don't put
Bhanu.
it on video.
The Bhanu of India?
Yeah.
Yes.
That
Not-
Prabhupada may not be a pure devotee.
Yeah. Wow.
So if
Anyways,
Prabhupada's not a
Vinayak
pure
Prabhu.
devotee, then who is a pure devotee?
He is a pure devotee.
Maybe previous acharyas that he says.
He says that he himself is a pure devotee.
No, he's saying. No, I'm saying he's saying Prabhupada is not a pure devotee. So,
may be a pure devotee or may not be a pure devotee.
oh my God.
How can
Wow.
he explain that? How can he explain that? He has any explanations, anything to keep it?
I
Ex-
don't
To
know,
keep
like
his word?
maybe he's like he's using
Oh,
this
no, which,
terminology
not,
that
not our Banu, right? This is the Banu in the Chinese
Can you
Banu.
call him in
Yes,
this
yes,
video
that
call?
Banu, the Japanese Banu. Yes.
Can you
Japanese.
bring him in the discussion today?
No, Mohit Prabhu is not him. Not that guy.
he won't
Okay.
even reply to your emails.
Okay, Vinayak Prabhu, please complete what you're saying. So some
So
people
I want to know like any evidence like so that we can just put in front of these people like Shastric evidence or something regarding the position of Prabhupada as a pure devotee.
I suppose he can say the evidence that Prabhupada is not a pure devotee is that he created the GBC, who are a bunch of crooks.
I mean,
That's very possible the way his mind is going, you know. If Prabhupada is a pure devotee, why didn't he control these demons?
Well, he's probably best friends with them.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's plenty of conflict. Banu was always a very like saintly guy. Back in the days, meaning way back in the days, like the early 70s, Prabhupada said about Banu, Banu never says anything bad about anyone, and no one ever says anything bad about Banu.
Well, seems like things have changed.
They've changed. Well,
Maybe like
don't-
there is a misunderstanding for something like maybe some concept he
Oh,
was
it could be
explaining
that
because
he could be that he never said that, of course.
yes,
yeah,
it could be
because
that
I
he never
directly
said it.
did because I directly did not heard from him. It's some other person who was telling me that he said so.
And
Okay,
who is that person? Or
Yeah,
what's
some
that person's
devotee.
authenticity? Huh?
Yeah, he was some devotee who was talking to him, and maybe he was
Prabhupada
not able
disciple?
to understand. Not some other.
well, we're kind of digressing from the topic. This Zoom meeting is not for questioning Srila Prabhupada's position. That is, without a doubt, he's a pure devotee descending from Krishna Loka. So,
That's for sure. No
So-
one can change it, Prabhu.
so I'm not
To
sure
make
why
some
we're,
progress.
that is already
Yeah,
clear.
I mean, because the bhakti, if he's going to say Prabhupada may not be a pure devotee, he could say that looking at the condition of the Gaudiya Math, he could say Bhaktisiddhanta wasn't a pure devotee.
Yeah, yeah.
And then
Nana,
he could
Prabhu,
say
can
that,
you-
with considering how many children he had, probably Thakur Bhaktivinoda wasn't a pure devotee.
Let's go off
I
from
mean,
the topic.
where are
Can
you going to end with that level of spiritual blindness? But anyhow, I would like to go with Prabhu. I'd like to go with you by saying that it's entirely possible. I think you should find out from a better source,
Yes,
a more
Vinayak
direct
Prabhu.
source, the
Yes,
Prabhupada disciple source, if
Yes.
there are any left, as to what does Banu really think.
yes. Whenever we
Vinayak-
have discussions with Srila Prabhupada disciples, we make sure that we have accurate information, accurate and not.
Otherwise, if
hearsay.
we give bad information, it's taken from us.
Yes,
Oh, Narayan said,
yes,
oh, Vinayak said,
right,
it must be
right.
true. Therefore,
Yeah.
they'll spread it as true, even though we don't even accept it as true when we hear it.
Yes. So whenever we
How
have,
tricky it is.
yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
but this kind of theory is there like within the movement that
It's-
many of the senior leadership they think that they access previous Goswami's literatures because they don't find the completeness in Prabhupada's books and these things, and they find that previous Goswamis were like direct gopis, so they can get more accurate information from there instead of Prabhupada.
Yes, they can get some nice erotic experience if they are not Uttama Adhikaris.
Look,
Even the mighty Adhikari will not read those intimate pastimes written by Rupa and Jiva Goswami.
So let's go off from this topic and just have some good examples where Narayan Prabhu can tell us when Prabhupada was he was in Ras with Krishna, right? There are certain examples where he was dancing in the night. Can you just explain those pastimes?
Oh, Well, yes, but I mean, I should hardly need to, but I do.
I don't think it's necessary to go in that area.
I could give one
So
example.
just
but-
one pastime, bro.
Okay.
Just one pastime so that this topic is over and then we can move on. Yeah.
Yeah, it's first of all, it's very offensive to even contemplate this question and answer of that
Yeah.
sort.
Yeah.
I mean, presumably, because Srila Prabhupada has demonstrated, I don't think Banu has published so many books or led so many wonderful kirtans as Prabhupada.
Yes.
So anyhow, yes. Okay, so let's leave it at that. If anyone is listening online, let us make it just clear that Prabhupada is a pure devotee. He meets all the qualifications of a pure devotee, and his spiritual master considered him a pure devotee, and he's got the name Prabhupada, which means the lotus feet at whose feet even masters will take shelter. Prabhu means master. Pad means foot. So Prabhupada means his feet is where even a pure devotee can take shelter. Prabhu means great devotee. So great devotee can take shelter at Prabhupada's lotus feet. And I know for a fact he's never cheated a single person in the entire years that I knew him.
Okay, so let's come on back on topic here. We were discussing about, just before the call, there were some discussions about going outside to the different camps, outside of Srila Prabhupada's radar to get instruction from Sridhar Maharaj, this Maharaj, that Maharaj. So let's make that clear that whenever we discuss here at our League for 10K ISKCON meetings, everything is centered around Srila Prabhupada's instructions, letters, and books. Yes. So that is the standard here. We're not going to deviate from that standard.
No, and none of the others who have taken up upon themselves to write Gitas and stuff like that, none of them have gone beyond Srila Prabhupada, nor have they created any movements. You know the real reason why none of Prabhupada's godbrothers came with him to America? The real reason they didn't come?
Well,
Because they had no faith that it would be successful.
That's one thing. And of course, actually more to the point, they had no faith that they would be successful.
Yeah, a lot of them.
Prabhupada comes and he preaches to hippies and they
Yeah.
flock around him and give up their bad habits.
Right.
And he's not a pure devotee. And he comes and he delivers them as
Right.
Lord Chaitanya delivered Madhai and Jagai and Madhai.
Yeah.
Why not? And countless others. So why didn't they come? They were feared that they would be outclassed by Prabhupada. Remember, Prabhupada was junior in age and initiation to basically all of them. He was seen as junior to everyone. He was junior to all of the Maharajas, but I'm talking about in Navadvip, Sridhar. He was junior to Sridhar. So this idiot on the internet, Prabhupada was saying, this is, he was offered his obeisances to him, he loved him, he worshipped him. Prabhupada is treating his older godbrother with respect due to an older godbrother. It doesn't matter what he's done. And I can give a little example there. That Prabhupada went to one of the descendants of Lord Nityananda, I think, or Dvaita or Nityananda, I forget which one. And there's this guy sitting, a plump guy sitting on an asana, chewing pan with big red lips from chewing pan. And Srila Prabhupada came in and offered extensive prostrated obeisances to this person. This obviously bogus guy, and but had the lineage, blood relation. And Prabhupada, he said to Prabhupada, "Oh, Swami, I am not worthy of this," he said. I guess hoping for Prabhupada to say he was. And Srila Prabhupada sat up and said, "Yes, I know you're not worthy. I am offering respects to your lineage." So if Prabhupada offered respects to his godbrothers, it's because they took shelter of Bhaktisiddhanta. So he's respecting their lineage. What do we know of that? What could we possibly do with any of that information? But to give an idea of why they did, finish the thought, why they didn't come to America, I personally witnessed conversations when Prabhupada was asking his brothers to come. And, even the ones that were favorable to him, they would say, "Oh no, Swami, I cannot go. I must stay here and take care of my institution." And, I was listening to him say that. Why can't he leave somebody in charge of it? And then he can go. But they were thinking, obviously, if they leave town, someone will take it over, and when they come back, they can't get it back again. That's why they didn't go. The one big reason they didn't go. They didn't want to lose their temple. They fought so hard to get one of Bhaktisiddhanta's temple and make themselves a guru of that temple. But if they leave that temple, someone else will take it. And then what will they do? They'll come back without a temple. They'll have to sit in the congregation or something.
Another thing that I'd like to mention here is when Srila
By the way,
Prabhupada,
this is what I just said is true.
yeah, and then when Srila Prabhupada came in 1966, he was always, very, how can you say? He was very accommodating to his guard brothers. He even invited them, "Hey, you come and preach about Krishna consciousness. I will give you all facility. Everything will be very nicely set up for you." Even then, they did not come.
No, because they didn't dare leave their ashrams, because somebody would be in the ashram and take it over. Then they came back and they wouldn't have an ashram anymore.
Yeah. So similarly,
Yeah.
everyone is.
Well, they may be devotees of Krishna to some degree or another,
Yeah.
but before that and above that, they're Indians.
Yeah.
So basically, Prabhu,
No
you're
offense
saying
to
that they
Indians,
were
but I'm
jealous
just
of
saying,
Prabhupada?
in India, so many tricks. The shopkeeper walks out the door of his shop, he comes back and somebody's taking it over. You have to always protect what you're doing in India. I was there a long time. I did a lot of mercantile shopping for stores and stuff like that, and for Krishna conscious stores. And I saw how they handled everything. It was very tight. So anyhow, the main point that I'm trying to make, though, is that we need to discuss beyond our present life. I would say we're dealing with any of these guys that are comfy in their comfortable situation, $2 million mansion. He's comfortable there. Well, let's not deal with his comfort zone. Let's deal with, what about when you're dead and buried? What about when you're gone?
They don't think about these types of
and you
things.
take another birth,
Yeah. Yeah.
unless you're guaranteed by some mechanism which I'm not aware of, that you're going to go back to Godhead the minute that you leave your body. Now, I would say that this person was probably Irish guy, he's probably a Catholic. So if he's a Catholic, maybe he's assuming, I'm a good guy, I die, chanting my rounds, following the regulated principles, at least recently, and I'll go back to God, I'll die and go to heaven, because that's what Jesus promised. I don't know what they're thinking, but all I can say is it's not useful. So I recommend, and I would like everyone here to give us deep thought, give up about talking about this lifetime. Sure, you're in Sacramento, Ramachandra, you have work to do there.
Yeah.
And you need to talk with people and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
But in terms of talking about the future of ISKCON, not this lifetime, next lifetime.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
even next lifetime, that's too tricky.
Yeah.
100 years, 200 years.
Yeah, the more I talk to these devotees and the more I go and think about the future, the more I understand it's going to take more and more time. You know?
Well, obviously it will, whether they want to believe it or not.
Yeah.
But why not just when you meet people and they want to call you ISKCON, guest guru, GBC, why not? So look, that's fine. I don't know how many more. You can ask the guy. Excuse me, sir, you're 50. How many years do you think you're going to live from now?
Right.
How many years do you think you're going to live if you don't get hit crossing the street in 10 minutes from now? I mean,
Right.
but how long are you going to live? Let's start with that.
Yeah, not
Well,
more
I
than
don't
another
know,
50
maybe
years.
another 50 years, 40 years, 30.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Right.
Maybe I'll get cancer. I'll die in 10 years. I said, fine. So we're not going to be talking about this lifetime.
Jai, yeah. We're not talking about this lifetime.
No, you have a guru this lifetime. You have a Vaisheshika or somebody. Fine. You have somebody to babysit your soul. So you have a soul, and you have someone to babysit it for you, and to pat you on the head, particularly when you give donations. So I'm not asking about that. I'm talking about what are you planning to do 200 years from now? And Ramachandra, you can tell him, my name is Ramachandra, and I want to talk about anything else.
Jai.
All I want to talk about, about this guru, that guru, never mind this guru, that guru. They'll die before you or die after you. That's to be sure. They're going to die, that's for sure. Why are we talking about when will this bug cross the road and get squished by the tire of a car? Why are we so worried about that bug?
Yeah.
No, let's now concentrate on something which you apparently don't have a capacity to even imagine for 2 minutes. What is it going to be like to be a devotee in 500 years from now?
Jai.
And if you don't know, if you have no idea, if you think, well, maybe this new gurus will improve or something, just say, what would you like it to be? And would you like Prabhupada to be in the center or a distant memory 500 years from now?
Right.
Should Prabhupada be a distant memory?
No.
Or should he be in the center of the Krishna consciousness movement 500 years from now?
Yeah.
Well, what if it isn't called ISKCON? Well, maybe it won't be, but it would be nice if it was, because that's Prabhupada's term.
Jai.
Why should we call it something else? Now that's what everybody is rushing around trying to do, is organize new organizations.
Yes. Yes.
With their ideology at the center.
Yeah. Not
But their
Prabhupada's
ideology is also not thinking of 500 years from now, right?
Right. Right. My ideology.
Right. It's their ideology, and they're going to try to set it up for them and their followers. And when they die, maybe the followers will put them in a big marble sarcophagus in the middle of the temple, and then the followers will go on trying to remember what it was the great Prabhupada disciple who created this new ISKCON type movement will be talking about.
Yeah.
Can you give some example of such a movement, Prabhu?
There is some example.
You want an example, Vinayak Prabhu, of something like this that's going on?
Yes, yes.
Well, you can see in Dallas, they have some samadhi of Tamal Krishna, and that's bringing attention away from Srila Prabhupada to this so-called mortal person. So this is already going on.
I think Vinayak Prabhu wants a blunt answer that how many organizations like this? Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, there are quite a few people that are trying to start their own Vaishnava movements.
Yeah.
Based on not being ISKCON.
Yeah, a lot of them have popped up. I've seen over the past, my experience as, the 8-10 years that I've seen. Yes.
Well, Srila Prabhupada had something interesting to say. I forget who he said it to. But some guy, there was, Siddha Swarup in Hawaii.
Yes.
Are you familiar with him?
Yeah. Siddha Sarup. Yes, I know who he is.
Yeah. In 1970, he and over 100 of his disciples came
Yes.
and took initiation from Srila Prabhupada.
Yeah.
But before that, the GBC was very suspicious of him and said, how can you tolerate somebody interfering with our ISKCON movement? And Prabhupada's response was, you have to understand that when you have a Vaishnava movement, you're going to have different branches branching off from it. But he's reading our books, he's preaching our philosophy, so where's the harm? That was before he became initiated by Prabhupada. So we don't mind if somebody takes Prabhupada's books and preaches accurately from them. Siddha Swarup did. I met
Yes.
Siddha Swarup in Mayapur.
Jai. Yeah. Yeah. Siddha Sarup's godbrothers were really envious of him because he was a natural leader and spiritually had a following before
Yeah.
before they even knew Srila Prabhupada. So
Oh, they hated him. So,
yeah, right.
well, so Siddha Swarup took initiation from Prabhupada, and Prabhupada gave him the name Siddha Swarupananda.
Jai.
I met him in Mayapur on the roof of the building, same
Ninchaks.
building where I tried to convince Bhagavan not to take sannyas. And
Yeah.
he was very bitter because the GBC wanted his men, but wanted to kick him out.
That's what goes on in.
Well, that's because the GBC was not elected.
Yes.
They were totalitarians. Prabhupada referred to the GBC as there was a sinister movement within our society.
Yeah.
We had no idea what that was. But it turned out to be the GBC. And how do we know? They were given a direct order, like Krishna comes down with a beautiful golden platter, and on that platter is a book or document. And in that document, it gives the GBC the power to be elected for 3 years from the temple presidents. And they rejected it. They rejected it. Then they chant Hare Krishna, hoping that Krishna will give them money and power and manpower, men. But they rejected what Prabhupada, the gift that Prabhupada gave them. So what have we got here? So anyhow, can we agree that our number one job right now is to talk about the future? When I say future, beyond our present lifetime, meaning, excuse me.
So here's a letter by Srila Prabhupada to Hansaduta Prabhu. Srila Prabhupada is concerned.
Just one question, Prabhu.
Yes.
Haribol.
Yes. What's
So
the
when
question?
Narayan Prabhu wants to speak something, his mic is off, Haribol.
Okay, yes. Well, what's the question, Mohit? You can ask.
So the question which Narayan Prabhu was saying that anyone can follow Prabhupada strictly and make an organization, right? Exactly. What Prabhupada, what Narayan Prabhu wants to say, that we can follow Prabhupada's exact instructions and make an organization preaching Prabhupada books, preaching Prabhupada teachings, how he wanted ISKCON to be, right?
Okay.
He can, but that, remember, with Siddha Swarup, he already had a group of Kundalini yogis, and he turned them into Krishna Bhaktas.
Okay.
So that was his choice. We don't need to do that because we want to open the doors into, we want ISKCON back, and we want ISKCON to be Prabhupada himself, And we want everyone to have opportunity to read Prabhupada's books that he printed in the name of ISKCON. And we want everyone to be able to be initiated by Prabhupada, which is through officiating acharyas.
Yeah, Prabhu, got it. One more last question, Prabhu. When you say that his god brothers were like against him, and Ronald Prabhu just told us that he invited his god brothers and he wanted him to give money. Prabhupada always wanted them to give money and then start the organization, but they didn't start it. Was this because of the jealousy, or this was because Prabhupada was
I
so
don't think
much
Prabhupada ever asked
open?
his godbrothers for money.
Not for money.
Mhm.
I mean, he was giving money. He was giving money to them, and he was telling them to preach in America or Western countries. But his god brothers were not ready because they thought that Prabhupada was against the Indian culture, like what rights he gave to women. Right? Women can be brahmacharis and they can live in their own ashrams. Right? So these guys were against it. Right? That's the reason why they didn't join Prabhupada.
Some of it, yeah. Go ahead.
Sorry, bro.
What's
Go
your
ahead, go
question,
ahead.
Mohit
Some of
Prabhu?
Acha, some of them.
Can you refine your question? You're talking about two different things
The
here.
exact question is the God brothers didn't join Prabhupada to spread the movement in the Western countries because Prabhupada changed certain Vedic rules, right, according to the situation, because he was a pure devotee. So he knew at what situation Krishna consciousness should be spread. So for women, right, he wanted to have a brahmacharya ashram, which is not accepted in India, right? People were
Oh,
against
that's
that.
part of it, yeah. But that wasn't the main
Yeah.
thing. The main
Acha.
thing is that they wanted money and power themselves.
Acha, they wanted money about themselves, then the
Yeah.
whole question
And
is wrong. Yeah.
the bigger problem for them was not Prabhupada preaching in America, which made them look like idiots, but it
Acha.
was further Prabhupada bringing so many disciples back to India made them look like nobody.
Acha, okay. Haribol.
You know,
Got it, bro.
I can't get into it because it's a complicated story, but there was a time they hired a tantric, the Prabhupada's godbrothers in Mayapur hired a tantric to poison his disciples. Four of his disciples got poisoned through Achyutananda, through the telephone, that Prabhupada is God. They figured
Right here.
they could
Here it
say
is.
if Prabhupada is God. What?
Here's the conversation here.
Go ahead.
Brahmananda is preaching about me, that I am Krishna and I am super soul, that I have withdrawn my mercy from the disciples, and I have left the society, and so on. I do not know how far they are correct, but I have written him a letter that he may not do something which may harm the interests of the society. You are also one of the members of the GBC. So
Ooh,
he's talking to Hansaduta. So
okay.
so you can think over very deeply how to save the situation. It is a fact, however, that the great sinister movement is within our society. So this is when Ramananda, Garga Muni, Vishnu John, and what is it, Subal or something? Yeah, Subal, they were preaching that Prabhupada is Krishna and he's the super
But they
soul.
didn't even say Krishna. Well, they did, but they said basically Prabhupada is God.
Yeah, he's Prabhupada saying, Brahmananda is preaching about me that I am Krishna.
I
Yes.
was in the middle of that.
Yeah, this is a letter to Hansaduta on September 2nd, 1970. So
It's what?
it's a letter from Srila Prabhupada to Hansaduta in 1970,
What day? What month?
September 2nd.
That early?
Yeah, look at it here. Here's the date, September 2nd, 1970.
Really?
Yeah. So Srila Prabhupada wrote letters to different people at that time.
Well, I wonder, was that after or before Rath Yatra of 1970?
Well, we'll have to do some research for that.
Okay, I could do that right now, in fact.
Okay, so what were we discussing here?
Okay, yes.
Let's bring it down to the point here. We don't have much time. Yeah. So Mohit Prabhu, is this satisfactory to your understanding? Does this make
Yeah, bro.
sense?
Very much satisfactory, bro. Very much satisfactory. I have one more last question, bro.
Sure.
If you
Yes,
can,
Prabhu.
if I can ask. Prabhu, there are certain people in India specifically, they said that Prabhupada couldn't, I mean, this is, I'm not against anything, but they told us that Prabhupada couldn't make his children's or his wife Krishna conscious, right? So, so how can
See,
you say that these Vaishnavas are doing? So the answer which I gave is like Prabhupada was so great in philosophy and he was so fixed on his point that if his family doesn't follow, he will throw them out, right? He will not be with them, like with what happened with his wife, right? So what is the answer which Narayan Prabhu wants to give here? Yeah.
well, Krishna consciousness is not a forceful program, that just because the father is a pure devotee, that does not equal the family members will be pure devotees. Krishna consciousness is a choice for an individual.
Yes,
Nor does
individual
Krishna,
choice.
yes, nor does Krishna force anyone to become Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, it won't be, love. Love is no force involved. So,
I got your point, but those people they've not read Prabhupada so clearly, right? Sorry. So they have a doubt specifically that why are their sons and their children not in their organization? And he preached all over the world. People were like so much influence, right? So I mean, having having a pure devotee as your father is a big blessing, right, bro? So
Well, of course,
that's
but
the
it
case.
doesn't necessarily mean that you will end up being blessed by that blessing. For
yeah,
instance, Thakur Bhaktivinoda had so many kids.
right. Jai.
Yeah, bro. Yeah.
Thakur Bhaktivinoda had so many kids. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, Prabhupada's spiritual master, Uttamadhikari, he was one of them. But he had another son, Lalit Prasad, who got carried off into the Rasika realm,
Babaji.
of artificially educating himself with Krishna's gopi pastimes, and that Prabhupada did not want. He refused that we should associate with Lalit Prasad. So even though he was the son of, I visited him, but even though he was the son of a pure devotee and the brother of the Acharya of the Gaudiya Math, he himself was not qualified. He was a Sahajya.
Yeah.
So indirectly, Prabhu, you want to say that
imitator. Right?
Sorry. Yeah. Sorry.
Go ahead,
Sorry.
Mohit. Mohit,
Sorry
go
to
ahead.
interrupt you, Prabhu. So indirectly, Prabhu, you want to say this: philosophy is the force, purity is the force. If you don't follow, if you're the son of a pure devotee, we can't. It's not acceptable, right? You need to accept the philosophy correctly. What Prabhupada said, that's written by Krishna. If you can follow that, well and good. Otherwise, it's not. Simple
Yeah,
answer.
well,
Yeah.
Prabhupada had so many children and grandchildren. Some of them became devotees, sort of. At least ISKCON accepted them, and one of them unfortunately drowned in Mayapur. But that happens. I mean, we cannot control what the offspring are going to do. Everyone has free will, right?
Prabhupada says this Krishna consciousness movement gives the human living entity a chance to become Krishna consciousness. It's a chance.
Yes.
It's a good chance, a very good chance. So not everyone.
There's so many examples like this exact same thing in the Dwapara Yuga also, all the yugas. Now, to get back to that, Rath Yatra was on July 5th, and you said that letter was September 20th or 28th?
It was September 2nd, 1970.
September 2nd?
Yes. Yeah.
1970.
Yes.
So that's a short time.
Yeah.
After Rath Yatra.
Yeah.
Because they were all at Rath Yatra as far as I could tell, they were fine at that time.
Yes.
And after that, they become completely taken over. The only reason I'm mentioning that is that even first, that the Gaudiya monks were so eager to destroy Srila Prabhupada because they didn't want this junior guy who was a businessman, hadn't even signed the papers not to be called Prabhupada. They didn't want him to be more than them because they were trying to get money and followers, mostly women, Prabhupada pointed out, from Indian population.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just ordinary materialism.
Yeah.
Let's not look at it as spiritual. Look at it as material, it'll make sense.
Yes.
Look at it as spiritual, and you'll go crazy.
Yeah.
The only spiritual part is the holy name or the prasadam that's offered, presumably nicely. So
Right.
that's spiritual part, but you can get that in anybody's house.
Right.
Even a person who is not strictly following Prabhupada, but maybe Narayan Maharaj or maybe this Maharaj or that Maharaj or any of the ones in Sacramento, you go and taste the prasadam. It may not be the perfect vibrational match with Krishna Loka, but it's still offered to Krishna.
Yes.
So as long as it's not meat or fish, then you can take it.
Okay.
So I'm
So
just trying to make that distinction.
yes.
But the only real distinction, and we still haven't sworn a blood oath or something to it, is that our preaching right now, I think, and my request, that our preaching be centered on anything beyond this lifetime, presumably no less than 100 years, and as far along as you want to go. 5,000 years, people will simply faint. They won't have any idea what to say. Say 500 years.
Yeah. People have a
500
very
years. Go ahead.
go ahead, Anand Prabhu. You're saying 500 years what?
Well, 500 years is the length of time between Lord Chaitanya and us.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So it's taken 500 years for us to pick up chanting Hare Krishna.
Yes. Yeah.
So now what about 500 years from now?
Jai.
So how do we guarantee that ISKCON and Krishna will be there? This fellow with the $2 million mansion says ISKCON is finished. Okay, ISKCON is finished. Does that mean he wants Prabhupada, but he doesn't want ISKCON? He doesn't want the GBC, but he wants to be in charge of his own place. So, so how do we reconcile? You see, how do we reconcile all of these
We
things?
cannot reconcile. We cannot reconcile on the material platform. First of all,
Right. So
And-
you cannot reconcile inside of this lifetime.
Yeah.
So this is why I'm requesting Mohit, Ramachandra, Mahaprabhu, everyone on this Vinayak. I request that we do not think too much when preaching to people about what they're going to have for dinner tonight.
Yeah. That is already taken care of.
Yeah, if they want to invite you to take prasadam, that's great. But the main thing to talk about
It's
is
the future.
what's going to happen 500 years from now for Prabhupada's movement to go on.
Jai.
I mean, is that a stupid question?
The visionary. Yeah.
Well, visionary, yeah, visionary,
Ex-
except that when I look backwards to Lord Chaitanya, it's not visionary that he was there 500 years ago.
To the future. Yeah.
Is it
Visionary.
visionary that he would see us today having this conversation, which he's doing, by the way, that he would see us on this conversation of the Zoom call? Is that visionary, or is it just simply a very short passage of time?
Well, yeah, it's a very short passage of time, to put it
So
frankly.
500 years is not a very big chunk of 10,000 years.
No.
It's,
Because
it is basically 1/20th.
because when we're dealing with Krishna consciousness, we're dealing on the absolute platform. We're not dealing on the relative.
Well, yes, what you're saying is profound because we're not dealing with time.
Yes. So if people bring the time factor in here, so that is not Krishna consciousness. The Krishna consciousness is beyond time and it's eternal. And this movement is guaranteed
Yeah.
to
So people will say, oh, how can we have Prabhupada in the center? He died years ago. How
now
many
I'm the
years
guru.
ago?
Now I'm the guru.
He died almost 60 years ago. Okay, now 60 years ago, out of 10,000 years, is that a lot of time? How much time is 60 years out of 500 years? What to speak of 5,000 years? What to speak of 10,000 years? And why do you say that Prabhupada, who's eternal, will not exist in 10,000 years when you, as a jiva, will exist 10,000 years from now?
Well, I can exist, but Srila Prabhupada cannot.
That's what they're saying. So we have to have a new guy come in, a Cub Scout guy with wet behind the ears guy, and he'll be the guru.
Yeah.
And anyhow, that's simply politics because it
Yeah.
came only from the GBC.
Right.
Without the GBC, there would be no successor gurus.
Yeah.
None. From any angle of position, any angle of Krishna consciousness, Prabhupada never, ever made a provision for successor gurus. In the famous July 28th tape, they asked, what will you do? I will appoint some of you. You'll be officiating acharyas.
Right.
He never said they would be successor gurus. They all wanted to be like priests becoming abbots in the church.
Well, another point.
They want a guarantee for the material position.
Another point is I'm gonna look at it materially now, just to insert a point here that, well, Srila Prabhupada was, over 70 years old. He was born in a Vaishnava family, and then he had met his pure devotee guru and met many gurus in India. But how can these Westerners who just became devotees all of a sudden become successor gurus? It doesn't make any logical sense. All of a sudden in 12 years they became pure devotees.
Well, how can a person appointed to a 3-year term how can the temple president not appointed, but voted into a 3-year term, renewable 3-year term?
Yeah.
How can he become a GBC that doesn't get elected?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Are we jumping over main points?
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
So that once we've committed the offense of turning ISKCON into a religious structure analogous and even using the language of the Catholicism, including the ultimate ecclesiastic authority, which they say GBC is, but they should have said the GBC appointed guru is, but they can't appoint just one guru. So they had to say the GBC is, which is technically impossible because in the church it refers only to the Pope. Right?
Right. Okay. So, Vinayak Prabhu or Mohit Prabhu, anything else you'd like to share?
Nothing else, Prabhu.
Okay.
I guess I got all my answers correctly by Prabhu. But none
Are you okay?
Yeah.
If you have any question about an answer, don't keep it to yourself.
Yeah.
Bring it right
Express
out
it.
in the open.
Yes.
Because
Express
this
it.
question was asked by my mother, Prabhu, several times that he was a pure devotee. When he was a pure devotee, why couldn't he change his wife and his children, right? So I've heard this question several times, by people, right? They have asked devotees all over the world and they couldn't answer, but the answer which you guys give is perfect, blank on target. That
You could ask
if you don't have
them.
love for
Have you-
Krishna, yeah.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, Prabhu.
You
No,
can
no,
ask.
no, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Was
No,
it,
no, no.
was
Go
your
ahead.
mother Krishna conscious before you were born, or no?
Before, not before me,
So?
after me. After me chanting, right, bro?
So by your example, your mother has become devotee. So is your father the same thing? Is your brother the same thing? No, right?
No,
See?
not at all. No.
So
They don't follow.
so
But
this is a
has
voluntary
has
choice.
Has your brother become acquainted with some of the philosophy? And
Or your
has he
family
heard
members?
Not at all.
the Maha Mantra?
He thinks it's a no, bro. He thinks it's a waste of time.
So
It's like people are like bogus, and he thinks like this is a money minting business. He doesn't follow. I mean,
hey, we're not charging
I
any
mean,
money
people
here.
see negative things. People see negative things, Prabhu. Human tendency is to see negative things in people, right? I wanted that Krishna consciousness. I felt that chanting is very important. I could feel that power which
Jai.
Krishna could give you through chanting, which Prabhupada books could give you. They have not felt it. I don't know what their karmas are, past karmas and all.
Well, if you think it's
But
all
yeah.
about gathering
Power.
money, then introduce me to your brother and I'll ask him for money.
Prabhu, they see negative things, right? So if you talk about ISKCON, you can have 90% of great devotees. I mean, 50% of devotees, those are sincere, 50% are not sincere. This is everywhere, right? We can get sincere people everywhere. So if you want to be sincere, read Prabhupada books, chant Hare Krishna. If you don't want to be sincere, if you want to see negative things, that's your point of view, right?
Yeah. Well,
So,
that was there with Prabhupada. His godbrothers, none of them were on the same level as he was.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So one fish in the market can't mess up with all the. I mean, there's a story, right? The one fish is bad that is messing with all the sea fishes, right? So that's the case with the material world, bro. You can't change human nature. Yeah.
But has your brother heard the Hare Krishna mantra?
Yeah, bro. He's heard it. He's gone to temples. I mean, he's a cousin brother. I'm a single child, so he's gone. I'm talking about a cousin.
Do you know what that means? In the future, he will go back to God.
Hari 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 Bol, Jai, Jai.
You can't,
Jai.
once you've heard Krishna's holy name coming from an authorized source,
Yeah.
you have no choice. You do have a choice, and you will choose to go back to Godhead. He may be struggling with like a fish is on the hook, right? On the fisherman has got a fishing line, and he's caught a fish, big fat fish, and the fish is going this way and that way, saying, I am going to be free. I want to eat the bait, and I want to be free. I'm going to eat the bait, I'm going to be free. But in the end, he's caught. He has no choice. He's on the hook. Your brother's been hooked. Cousin brother's been hooked.
I guess through chanting is the key. If you're doing quality chanting, Krishna will guide automatically to you. You'll get attracted to Prabhupada Kirtans. You'll get the knowledge. If the chanting is missing, you can't do anything.
Krishna is already guiding, you know. We don't have to think too much, you know, that Krishna will specifically come and guide me.
If your chanting is going great, then everything will come. If your chanting is not going great, nothing will come to you. That's for sure.
Well, nothing, but in another birth it will. It just takes long. It will come, but it will take longer.
Yeah, bro. That may be the
like
case.
The fish. The fish says, I'm eating the bait and I'm not going to get caught. So the day goes by, the next day comes by. See, they didn't catch me. Another day goes by. You see, I'm still here. I haven't been caught. But then in the event they catch him, it takes him out of the water.
So yeah, bro. So it has been a great week for me, bro. I've been living in Vrindavan. I went to Radha Damodar yesterday. So great blessings there, yeah. Still, what I prayed to Krishna, Krishna wanted to be a Brijvasi and want to live in Vrindavan. So that's what I'm getting, yeah.
Jai.
Jai, yeah.
The ideal, though, is if you can bring Vrindavan into every home in the world.
Hari, Hari, Hari Bol, Jai.
Then when you go into somebody's house to preach to and give them magazines and books to, you walk into a house, suddenly you're in Vrindavan. That's it, you go into their house. Now they have an altar. Now they're offering you prasadam on a platter.
Hare Krishna.
Haribo, Jai.
Okay, so Vinayak Prabhu, anything else you'd like to say? Mohit Prabhu, Rupa Manjari.
No, Prabhu, my questions are answered.
Everything.
Vinayak
anything else?
Prabhu, have
Feel free to ask.
anything? Because I guess I was interrupting in Vinayak Prabhu. I'm very sorry for that, Prabhu.
No,
Go ahead,
No,
Vinayak.
Prabhu, I don't have. Like, I was finished that
you,
time.
you have more of a right to voice than anybody else.
Okay, Janice Priya Prabhu from Hawaii is here. Hare Krishna Prabhu, welcome.
Hare Hare Krishna.
Hare
Have
Krishna,
you?
Prabhu. Hare
Hare
Hare.
bol.
Yeah. Pranam, Prabhu.
Jai
Yeah, so
Prabhupada.
I'd like to ask you a question, Janice Priya Prabhu.
Yes, sir.
You got initiated by Srila Prabhupada, and why do a lot of people go to different camps? You know, Prabhupada gave his books, his lectures, his conversations, his letters. Why cannot people stick with Srila Prabhupada only?
Well, there's many reasons why some of the people were disillusioned after the Sonalacharya thing, you know.
Okay.
So that was a lot of, I don't know what percentage, but it seems like a lot of people left. We were chased out of the temples, you know. It's like you have a buddy, right? And he's your god brother, right? And you guys known each other for a couple of years, and then next week, no. Next week, your friend, it's a guru, and you're supposed to be bowing down. And if you don't do it, then you're a blasphemer, you know. So that
So
was
who's speaking?
It's
Janice
Janice Priya Prabhu from Hawaii.
Ah, very well. We don't have your picture up. I won't
Not right now. Yes, we have Prabhupada's picture. Yes.
Yeah.
So Janice Priya Prabhu said that these god brothers of Janice Priya and all the Prabhupada god brothers, many of them were driven out to different camps because they did not submit to the zonal acharyas, you know, at some time.
Well, that was all created by demons who poisoned Prabhupada.
Yeah.
I mean, what more can, you see, we're getting caught up in the sentimentality of ISKCON, this, and the temple president, that, and then successor gurus, and blah, blah. Let's sweep it off the table.
Jai.
Sweep it off the table. Like you have a dinner all set up for a bunch of demons to feast. Just take your arm and sweep it off. Let the soup fall in their, let the bowls of soup fall in their lap. Let the fried chicken stick in their eye. Sweep the table off. And then say, okay, now let's deal with Prabhupada, not with you as taking over ISKCON movement. But we were so susceptible, we thought we were supposed to go along with the GBC, not realizing what they were doing when they refused to be elected, and not knowing what they did when they poisoned Prabhupada. I mean, how far do we need to go before we recognize that they murdered our guru? And now we're trying to figure out how to get along with them.
Okay.
You move over a little squish so I can sit down next to you. Oh no, you don't want me touching you. You want my hip touching your hip, huh? Okay, I'll sit on the floor then, Prabhu. That's not the point. We have to stick with Prabhupada. But
Right.
this is what I keep saying. I don't want to even deal with anything directly, if possible, that doesn't involve, we need to have Prabhupada in the center of ISKCON in 500 years from now, without the GBC. By that time, the GBC will have cannibalized each other.
They're already doing that.
Well, hopefully they'll complete it and have dessert afterwards.
Yeah.
Somebody texted me and said that they thought that, he's in Hawaii. My godbrother. He said that
Harinam.
he thought.
Harinam. Harinam?
No, he's in Hawaii. I said, didn't I say Thailand?
Oh, what's his name? Bhaktadas.
Bhaktadas, yeah. Bhaktadas wrote and said that somebody told him, with God only knows how little or much authority, that the ISKCON has got like over $700 million now or something of that sort. So I say, great, let them keep it, but let them get out of the temples.
Terrible.
We don't need their money. We need people to chant Hare Krishna
That's it.
and take
Yeah.
prasadam and to listen to Prabhupada's classes. We don't
Right.
need
Money will come
millions of dollars.
automatically.
If they have millions of dollars, can you imagine what it will be like for them in the court of Yamaraj, staggering in there with millions of dollars in their backpacks?
Yeah.
The first thing he'll say is, where did you get that? Oh, that's a Guru Dakshin for me.
For me.
Yeah. Okay. Take him across the burning desert, please, to the Yamadutas.
We'll see where his Guru Dakshin goes.
Yeah.
Terrible.
It reminds me of a story my mom told when I was a kid. This guy is crawling through the Sahara Desert. His camel died, and he's starving. He crawls through the Sahara Desert, and as he reaches out with his last bits of energy, his hand closes on a bag, and inside the bag there are lumps. So he takes the bag and opens it and pours out incredibly perfect rubies into his hand. And he drops them into the sand and said, oh, I'd hoped they were dates. What's the use of ruby? He's starving to death. He wants dates to eat,
Right.
not rubies to die with.
Yeah. Hopefully, he ate the rupees. I mean, rubies.
So, Haribol, can you explain what will happen in front of Yamaraj with him? Just a
For
small
who?
brief. The guy we were talking about, like taking millions of dollars. Then Yamaraj will. What is the treatment with what
The
Yamaraj
first
will
thing,
give it?
if you know the process, first the Yamadutas come and take them there. And
Yeah,
of course,
bro.
they will be given credit for all the devotional service they have performed. But then the
Yeah.
Akashic Record, they will read the Akashic Record. You're familiar with the Akashic Record?
No, bro. Can you explain?
No,
it
it's
more?
a record kept in the material universe
Karma
of
record.
every single
Karma
living
record, bro.
being and his activities.
Yeah.
What do you call
Got
it?
it. Got it. Karma record, bro. A karma record. I mean, every
Karmic
single
record,
minute,
yeah.
whatever karma.
They call it
Yeah, yeah.
Akashic, but it's maybe that's more Buddhist. I don't know. But karmic record, yes.
Yeah.
They'll read it out like in a court case.
Acha. Haribol.
See, that's
Okay,
what I
then.
want to do. I want to create a karmic record of these guys, all of their sins. Well, if we could get some money from somewhere, I'd like to see somebody hire some scholars to go through all the records of ISKCON. They should be devotees. Go through all the records of ISKCON, putting down every crime they've committed. Like the children being molested. That could never have happened if the GBC were elected. You guys say, well, how do you know? Because the GBC is a temple president. He sends a child of a person that he's his friend with in the temple to the Gurukula. If anyone wants to molest a child, he'll go there and kill that person.
Acha.
But no, they had to protect the clergy. That's what they did in the Catholic Church. They didn't care that children are being molested, boys are being pervertedly treated. They just want to protect the priests so that people
Yes.
continue to come to the church. If you go to the church and they say, oh, do you know your kids are all going to get molested? Who's going to go? So they protect the priests so that the children will be molested. So that's one of the crimes, big crime, big crime, for the GBC, because they made the exact same structure of priests that protected themselves and their institution, but not the children that were in their custody. And that goes for lawsuits also. If the temples are individually incorporated, where's the question of a lawsuit taking in millions of dollars.
Yes,
The
sir.
temple might have $500, you know. One temple might have $500. But no, they insisted to make it global. So that means they get global lawsuits for millions of dollars.
So the point is, they've earned money here by hook and crook. They'll be getting bad
Punishment.
yasanas there. Punishments, very
Yeah.
bad punishments, right?
The
Yeah.
burning desert. They will have to be dragged through the burning desert.
Yes, bro. That's scary, bro. That's very scary. So for Indian people, if we say this, like they've read the Garud Puran, so they're like scared to do bad things, right, in their life. If some person has read the Garud Puran properly, he won't do such mistakes, such bad karmas, right?
What's it called? Which Puran?
Garud Puran, bro. Garud Puran.
Garuda?
Garund, Garud Puran. Ronald, bro,
Garud?
can you explain it, bro? Ronald, bro.
Explain it.
Oh,
Haribol?
Mohit Prabhu is talking about the Garud Purana, the Garuda Purana describing the various hells and how the living entity is punished when a so-called Indian-bodied person die. They either read Bhagavad Gita or Garuda Purana, Garud Puran they call it. So it describes. Yes.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So it describes the various hells and how the living entity suffers. Where does he go? If he committed this, he goes here. If he committed this, this is how it's going to get punished. So like this.
That's
So this
also
is
there in the book of Manu, you know.
yeah. So whenever they have this, he was saying that the Indians, they're terrified at this reading.
At least they're
Yes,
supposed
yes.
to be.
Certain people are scared of this and then they don't commit bad karmas, but then if they don't chant, then again they go in the bad karma cycle and then they do everything, whatever is bad, right? So, yeah. Ronald Prabhu, you can tell Prabhu exactly what I wanted to say, no? He got it? Nana Prabhu got it, right?
Of course
what
he
I
got
wanted
it.
to
Got my
hear.
point, no?
Yeah, I wanted to hear what you said. Yes. Whatever you said, I wanted to hear that. Yes.
Yeah,
Because I
Ronald
know it
Prabhu.
by Akashic
Yeah.
Record. That might be more Buddhist.
Okay.
Still Sanskrit.
So Janaspriya Prabhu shared a quote. Janaspriya Prabhu, would you like us to read it, or would you like?
Yeah. Please read it.
Okay, excellent. So let me pull up the original Srimad Bhagavatam. This is the edited version.
Yeah.
So let me go to the original prabhupadbooks.com and then I will share it. What is it? 137, what is it?
11937.
11937. 11937, okay.
That's the Srimad Bhagavatam.
Yes. 11937. Okay, I found it here. Let me share. Okay, here we go. Janaspriya Prabhu.
The purport is very interesting.
Okay, so let's read the translation and purport. Srila Prabhupada writes, his translation, "You are the spiritual master of great saints and devotees. I am therefore begging you to show the way of perfection for all persons, and especially for one who is about to die." Okay.
You want Rupa to read the purport? Just
Yeah.
for fun?
Yes, Rupa Manjari Prabhu, if you can read translation and purport, way better.
Okay. Translation: You are the spiritual master of great saints and devotees. I am therefore begging you to show the way of perfection for all persons, and especially for one who is about to die. Purport: Unless one is perfectly anxious to inquire about the way of perfection, there is no necessity of approaching a spiritual master. A spiritual master is not a kind of decoration for a householder. Generally, a fashionable materialist engages a so-called spiritual master without any profit. The pseudo-spiritual master flatters the so-called disciple, and thereby both the master and his ward go to hell without a doubt. Maharaj Parikshit is the right type of disciple, because he puts forward questions vital to the interest of all men, particularly for the dying men. The question now put forward by Maharaj Parikshit is the basic principle of the complete thesis of Srimad Bhagavatam. Now let us see how intelligently the great master replies.
Jai. Okay. Janasphere Prabhu, your turn.
Yeah.
What do you want to say, Prabhu?
I
Loud
don't
and
know.
clear.
This verse is it's so loud and clear, you know. It's like fake gurus, you know. They all like they're very exactly describes what the way the fake gurus in ISKCON act. They act very friendly and very nice, and they say sweet things, and they are cheaters, you know. And so it says in here, Prabhupada is saying these gurus, they're going to hell, and their disciples are going to hell with them.
But this is a different level. Because we've all seen, anybody who's been in India has seen these household Brahmin, every Brahmin of wealth has a guru in his house, a residual Brahmin, and does all sorts of pujas and does all sorts of psychic stuff to protect the family and the children, etc. And also reading from scriptures. That is the fake guru. It's a little bit helpful because he offers priestly services, but he is not. But what Prabhupada is talking about here is the sort of gurus you see sometimes outside of Vaishnava temples, where they sit down and they sit there covered with tilaks of different type in the Bhagavatam, and then they start reciting simply to get donations and simply to please the listener. And also, if they have such a person in their house, if the guru says, if I don't want to get thrown out into the street, I better tell my patron everything that he wants to hear. So he says so many nice and flattering things to his patron, so that his patron will give him money, a comfortable place to sit, food to eat, and not throw him in the street. So this is what Prabhupada, I believe, is talking about.
Yeah. Well, it sounds very familiar.
Well, yeah, the last thing I should say is that the ISKCON gurus and all the fake ISKCON, this and that, no matter what they're doing, and even with the fact that they've changed Prabhupada's books, even so, they still are giving classes from what's left of Prabhupada's books. They're having kirtans from what's left of Prabhupada's kirtan sound vibration. And they are definitely doing deity worship and prasadam cooking and everything generally to a very nice standard that Prabhupada did. And we can understand that for those who are sincere, the deity will taste the prasadam even from a bogus guru. So it's not quite the same. The ISKCON gurus are bogus, but not in the same way that that verse describes.
Okay.
Okay, so we got about 9 minutes, Prabhu. So let me see if we have any comments, questions from the Facebook and YouTube. Okay, let's see. There's no questions on YouTube. Let's see if there's any questions on Facebook.
Yeah,
So
I wanted to ask that does this verse does not describe the ISKCON gurus?
I'm sorry?
Like just like the verse that Janpriya Prabhu shared. So this verse does not describe the ISKCON gurus, but I wanted to confirm.
I don't know what he said. Do you know Ramachandra or Rupa
no,
Mandara?
his voice is very muffled. I cannot hear, so I'm not sure what's going on.
He said that this describes the ISKCON gurus, this verse.
Oh, he's saying that does the verse describe ISKCON gurus? No, Prabhu answered that question.
Not exactly. Because ISKCON gurus are still representing Prabhupada to some degree. Adequately? No. The only way you can represent him adequately is through unchanged books and with Prabhupada in the center of the temple, not some other guru guy that they hired or appointed to be there. But we have to distinguish. That can be easily cured. All we have to do is get rid of if you get rid of the GBC, you automatically get rid of every single guru in ISKCON. Automatically, because they appointed them. And they don't have any evidence that Prabhupada ever gave the GBC authorization to appoint Diksha gurus in ISKCON. He never, ever said that. Okay?
Jai. Okay.
Officiating acharyas means in behalf of Prabhupada.
Yes.
But for independent ISKCON gurus, Prabhupada never gave a single instruction to do that. Now you could say, well, how could they get away with such a huge crime? And the answer is very simple. They got away with it because nobody challenged it. Now, there was a propaganda minister of the Third Reich named Joseph Goebbels, and he created a concept which I think is taking over the United States, or the world's media. And what Goebbels said is, it's called the big lie. He said, if you say something that is so outrageous that it could not possibly be true, no one will believe it. But if you say it over and over and over and over again, people say it must be true, because who could lie about something that big?
Right.
So you see, that's how they became gurus. Nobody could believe they could lie about something that big.
Jai.
Okay?
Okay, we got 5 minutes and counting.
Okay, so what are you going to do with it?
We're gonna throw it in the air.
If you leave it up to me, I'm going to go back and repeat myself again, saying, let's only talk to people that are ISKCON devotees as to where they expect to be and what they expect ISKCON to be like. Do they want it to be called ISKCON, and who do they want to see as the predominating acharya of ISKCON in 500 years? I would not put it past that question until people start answering that question. So far, I posted that question in an hour-long conversation with somebody. They didn't answer once to that answer to that question.
Why don't we do a survey?
I'm sorry?
Do a survey.
Sorbet.
Do a survey.
Do a survey.
Yes.
Why not just talk to a person? If you
Yeah,
see a person say,
this way the people, you'll get an idea of, there's a lot of people, they don't even.
that's an interesting point, actually. We could do an online survey, I suppose.
Yeah.
With questionnaires saying, what do you want Krishna consciousness movement to be like in 150 years or 500 years? Who should Prabhupada be part of it, or should he be the acharya, or what should he be? That was give multiple choice questions, right?
Yeah.
It would be Prabhupada. Who else? Prabhupada and Prabhupada. Pick one of the
No,
Prabhupada.
I'm really interested in Prabhupada. I mean, if they want to say, do you want the ghost of Sridhar Maharaj to be in charge of anything, you could ask that question, or Narayan Maharaj, but there's no point in it. What we want to know is ISKCON.
Yeah.
Like the guy I was saying that has the $2 million mansion, he says ISKCON is finished. Then I said, okay, so what's going to replace ISKCON in 500 years? Do you know what he said?
What did he say?
Right. No answer. He's ready to talk about his program, about the people he's helping, about the 4 people that live in his $2 million mansion. But he cannot say, what does he see Krishna consciousness? Because he's thinking that Krishna is giving him that mansion, giving him food to eat, he wants Krishna to be his servant. So, I mean, what should I say? Okay, in 500 years from now, how would you like Krishna to be serving you? That might be an interesting question too, no?
Prabhupada says everyone wants God to be the order supplier, but they don't know it's the order that's already being supplied, you know? So why you have to ask?
Yeah, well, that also raises another question.
Yeah,
There's 8,400,000 species existing, right?
right.
In material bodies.
Yes.
That includes demigods, it includes humans, it includes insects and ants and wheat, pieces of wheat or trees, blades of grass. It includes everything that's conscious, because consciousness only comes from one source, Krishna. He's the supreme consciousness. We're the independent consciousness, individuals. So when we say that, excuse me. So when we say that, we should take into account that we have been served hand and foot in every single species we have ever taken body in, birth in. We have been served hand and foot, down to the last detail, by who?
Paramatma.
Yes, exactly. Krishna, in the form of Paramatma, has served us hand and foot. So we become devotees and we say, that's easy. I'll chant Hare Krishna and Paramatma will continue to serve me hand and foot. That's not devotional service. Devotional service is when we say to Krishna, as Prabhupada did on the Chola Dutta, make me dance like a puppet. Meaning, I open my mouth, you, Paramatma, speak through it, giving the words of transcendental life. Not that I will open my mouth and say, oh, would you like to buy my rock and roll record?
It's
Because
10
we don't have
o'clock.
It's 10 o'clock. So do you get the point? Paramatma has been serving us. We have to put an end to it and stop the fact that Paramatma is, because even the great devotees that are on our side politically or whatever, they're all depending on Paramatma to supply them, give us our daily bread. That's what they want, their daily bread. They think like that and they think they're surrendered. Yeah, they're surrendered to their daily bread. So anyhow, let's give it thought and let's keep that ball rolling, okay?
Okay, thank you very much to all the devotees worldwide for joining Narayan Prabhu, Janaspriya, Rupa Manjari, Vinayak, Mohit Prabhu, and anyone watching online. Our next meeting will be tomorrow at 8 o'clock,
Is
California time.
Mahaprabhu still with us?
Mahaprabhu has left.
Oh,
Okay, thank you very much, Prabhu. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Haribol.
Right.